Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine, talking about wills, estate planning. Tim Takacs is with us. Give us a call. Final segment here, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Let's go back to the phones. Bob. Hello, Bob.
Oh, hello. It's a good show. Always good to see you, too.
Thank you.
But my question is kind of serious. You know, it's the hospice is a good thing. I'd hate to see it go over suicides, like in Europe or something like that. And the other thing would be the contrast of life insurance towards the end versus, you know, medical insurance. You know, Medicare, Medicaid, once you just get the basics, which only covers a few weeks or something like 3 months, it gets quite expensive after that.
Right.
And, you know, people are tending to buy out the cheaper option of life insurance. You know, it might not take much to a doctor to save you, but the costs are absorbent as far as the system goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, you know, concerned about what kind of planning on that would.
How do you pay for all that? And he's talking about life insurance.
Yeah, and you know, of course, I'm also hearing, you know, Bob's saying is, okay, Medicare. I think the statistics generally are that for people who are over 65, I think half of your medical expenses that you incur during that period of, if you're over 65, occur within like the last 6 months or a year of your death.
Wow.
You know, so if you're 65 and you're rocking along and you're fairly good health and you have some medical expenses, but in the last 6 months of your life, more than 50%, you know, of your medical expenses are going to be incurring in that period of time. You know, and maybe what Bob is referring to is that, you know, what are people's options? You know, are we, you know, do we need to start having conversations about what kind of medical care that, you know, we want as older people? You know, kind of like, that's sort of, I guess, sort of the theme of the show has been, you know, don't wait until you get into the last 6 months of your life to go, you know, maybe I really don't want all of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not having a quality of life now. It doesn't matter what they do to me over the next 6 months. I'm going to expire anyway. You know, maybe I should move into hospice. And you know what's, you know, and I'll just say this because Bob mentioned hospice as well. You know, talking about Medicare is that one of the knocks against hospice for people who are not familiar with hospice is that the perception of people about hospice is that, okay, you're on Medicare, and Medicare is providing medical care to you. But Medicare also has a hospice benefit. But in order to get that hospice benefit, which basically means palliative care, you know, non-curative, non-therapeutic care at the end of life, you have to give up non-therapeutic and non-curative care. I mean, or curative care. Okay.
So you have to agree that.
You have to agree that, okay, if I'm, you know, if I get sick or whatever it is, you know, then I'm just going to be made comfortable. You know, and a lot of people are going, that sounds like, you know, when you're on this side of, you know, the sun shining,
right?
You know, oh, that sounds like you know, I don't want all that stuff done to me. But the closer you get to the other part, you know,
sure,
the other side, you're going, maybe I don't really want to give up, you know, maybe those pills, or maybe give up something that might keep me alive a little bit longer. And so,
family members feel that way.
And family
too.
members feel that way. And so, you know, you have, you know, and the way we put it often is that the bull looks different when you're in the ring with it. You know, you think you know what you want, you know, and you should have those conversations. But I've always told people, you know, and I've said this here on OpenLine and Morning Line many times, is that we don't believe in living wills in my office. What we want you to do, you know, is name a healthcare agent. Name somebody who's going to make those decisions for you. Don't set out a piece of paper that says, well, if I've got a terminal illness, I want this or this, because the chances are worse than you think that somebody in the medical profession is going to go, well, Ben says, you know, Ben just had a heart attack, but he says here, you know, he doesn't want to be revived, so we're just going to let him die right here. It's like his widow winds up going, no, that's not what that meant.
Right, right.
So where Medicare is headed with this is they're putting some programs in place to make what I might refer to hospice as being more nuanced. Which means that it's not just solely palliative care, but there are going to be elements of maybe curative and therapeutic care as well. So it's not like an either-or thing.
Right.
So people, can...
And maybe that'll mean more people
actually will decide to elect it. What's interesting, too, and I'm looking at the phone to see if if there's somebody, calling, but a lot of time, there's been studies about hospice, and they find that there are some, there actually is a racial component or the diversity in hospice. That certain races like African American races, for instance, they've discovered that fewer African Americans will agree to hospice. Whereas white people like me, might say, yeah, I'll go for hospice. But there are, so they do surveys of okay, who's electing hospice and why aren't they? And they're actually being able to break it out by demographics and by race and and all that. And
why do you think that is?
I think there's probably, I think obviously we can all speculate, but it could be because, is there a mistrust or a distrust in the healthcare system?
Right.
Do people feel like, that, there's, that they're actually, they're going to get the care that they need, or are they being written off? It's hard to say, and I think that's probably the next big thing is that we're looking at is that how can we improve end-of-life care for people, for everybody?
That's a huge topic. And another theme we've heard tonight is talking about long-term care insurance.
Yeah.
So let's say you are, all right, in your 40s, they say buy, it's really cheap to buy,
right? It is.
So let's say you're 65, 70, and you're in okay health, but should you buy it? What's your opinion on long-term health insurance?
I think the sweet spot there for buying long-term care insurance is typically probably between ages 55 and 65. Now, if you work for like a company, or maybe I think the federal government did or used to have, a very good long-term care plan, and you could get into it for almost like next to nothing or whatever. But most people, I think they're going to say, between the ages of 55 and 65 is you really want to start looking at it, because you're going to likely to be healthy. It's going to be less expensive. You're probably going to be in a posture to be able to afford it. That's when you want to, it's like, okay, so now that's kind of where you're going to be, because by the time you turn age 65, I think, if you're a 65-year-old in the United States, I think 1 out of every 3 65-year-olds in the United States has a chronic illness of some sort. They could be disqualified. They can't get it because you have to be underwritten. It's like health insurance.
Okay, we have to take a break. We're going to take a break, and we're going to give you your information, how to get a hold of you.
Okay.
Take a break, be back right after this.